Hello, I'm Matt Call with Great Basin Fire Management Team 1. We're here on the Mount Hood Forest on the Camp Creek fire. We're going to talk about our operations today. This fire's perimeter hasn't changed too much on our map because last night we were unable to get an infrared flight due to either weather or resource competition. So our acreage still shows that we're at about 1,600 acres, but the fire did grow last night. Our official acreage will increase tomorrow. Our night observations, we had some crews out there watching, and we had quite a bit of activity between these two roads. So we've got the 12 road and the 14 road, which are our main containment lines. They saw quite a bit of activity on the 14, even though it was nearly 100% moisture and still kind of raining a little bit, but there still was some creeping and smoldering fire in there. Down on the 12, which was lower in elevation, we saw even more activity, even though the RH, the relative humidity was still pretty wet. So the fuels are so dry, that fire, even though it's really wet, the fuels are so dry, everything's still growing, the fire's still growing and getting bigger. It's just getting bigger at a slower pace because of the moisture. So that means there's still a lot of work ahead of us. What that work's going to look like today is we're going to improve what we've already done on the 14 road. And what that is we have hand crews out that are removing the fuels, limiting the fuels so when the fire gets to that road, there's a lot less fuels there and the fire behavior is a lot more benign, which allows us to engage it a lot better. Doing the same on the 12 road up here. The 12 road, the fire's a little bit closer, so as that fire creeps closer, we might take a few pockets and use the fire to our advantage. Small little areas of unburned fuel that might be 10 by 12. We'll put a little bit of fire down so we have the control over that over those ground fuels so the fire doesn't get up in the trees and burn the lichen and cause more spot fires for us. On the 14 road, because that's such a critical component, we have more heavy equipment coming in. We used hand crews to remove some fuel, but the heavy equipment will allow us to make an even bigger fuel break and take some of those heavier fuels out and reduce our risk quite a bit. A couple of other things that are happening on the perimeter, as you can see, we have a little bit bigger map. For some context, we have the 26 road here, and each one of these squares is a mile. So we have quite a few miles between the 26 road and the fire, and our growth is pretty nominal in the scale of this map. We were able to protect this Snowtail weather station yesterday. We did some prep work around that. And then today there's an important repeater site, a radio tower site up here, which we're going to put some crews in and do some fuels mitigation. There's some important 911 communication sites up there we want to make sure don't have any kind of adverse impact. At the water treatment plant, we have crews still improving that. We feel really good about the situation there, but we want to make sure that we're going to use all of the time that we have to reinforce that and ensure that if the fire does get closer, it doesn't adversely impact the water treatment plant and have any more negative effects on the watershed than we've already had. You will see more fire crews coming in today, heavy equipment, masticators, big machines that kind of mash down the brush, and we'll be setting up another spike camp along here, so we might see some increased traffic of those machines down here in order to access the fire a little bit different way, so we have two different avenues to the fire. As the day goes today, more moist weather, and I think we're going to be able to take advantage of that and have more positive effects, but it's pretty slow going because of the magnitude of the fuels that we have out there. As things change, we'll keep you updated where we have a good outlook on today, and I think we'll get a lot done.